Excellency Abdullah bin Hamad Al-Attiyah, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really my very great pleasure to introduce the winner of the 2017 Abdullah bin Hamad Al-Attiyah Award for Lifetime Achievement for the Advancement of International Energy Journalism to a colleague, a friend, and a leader in his field, Mr. John Defterios of CNN. This award is a testament to John's exceptional contribution to the field of journalism in the energy sector. Over the last 3 decades, he has been at the forefront of the energy world as a field producer, a correspondent, and anchor, covering energy stories from North America to Africa, to Asia, the Middle East, and to his current home in Abu Dhabi as the CNN Money Emerging Markets editor. John got his official start in journalism in 1984 as a Capitol Hill producer in Washington, D.C. Since then, he has worked for some of the most recognized news outlets in the world, such as PBS, Reuters, and CNN, among others. His outstanding achievements in energy journalism includes a series of special reports on the Texas oil and gas business during the oil bust of the 1986 to 88. In his coverage of the first Gulf War, John went to the Al-Ahmadi oil field in Kuwait, where he obtained a worldwide exclusive of the damage to the field in the no-fly zone, which led to his hiring to CNN. John has covered OPEC meetings since 1998 and has interviewed many of the key players and leaders in the energy sector. He is a fixture of global energy conferences and summits, including the OPEC Seminar, the World Energy Congress, the Atlantic Council Energy Summit, and the World Economic Forum. I've enjoyed working closely with John since I came to live in Abu Dhabi and to lead IRENA. During these years, as the world witnessed the growing momentum on renewables, John recognized this new energy reality and took an active interest in the energy transformation that was underway worldwide. In this context, he accepted my invitation to IRENA's 7th Assembly, January this year, to lead discussions in a ministerial roundtable focused on the transformation of the power sector, together with leading CEOs in the field. His ability to engage energy ministers and key business leaders in his informed, insightful, yet conversational style resulted in a dynamic and successful session that highlighted the growing business case and technological advances of renewables. In our collaboration, I have been impressed by how meticulously John prepares for his assignments. I was a little fed up with the midnight phone calls, John, and how he excels in explaining the complexities of the energy sector to a wider audience. As our global energy landscape continues to shift and transform, as Mark Moody Stewart was telling us, I know John will keep capturing the many positive stories that are emerging in this critically important field. I would like to congratulate John on receiving this well-deserved award and prestigious honor, and it's now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Abdullah bin Hamad Al-Attiyah and John Defterios to the stage to accept the award.
Thank you very much. I should share what His Excellency Mr. Al-Attiyah just said. I guess I've done my job fairly well for the last 30 years. He says, we're glad to give you the award, but I think you hounded us too much during the time you covered OPEC. I dogged a few of them through the years. First, let me thank the Director General of IRENA, Adnan Amin. We've become friends living in the capital of the UAE, and as he suggested, getting immersed in the renewable energy space. I think it's a fair criticism to say that I was focused primarily on oil and gas and having IRENA in our backyard. He said, look, shift your attention a little bit and watch the transformation in energy. And he tested me by putting me into a 3-hour roundtable with 180 delegates to see if I could survive the new energy landscape. And we had a great time in January. Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister and the founder of this great foundation, Mr. Al-Attiyah, we have watched, in my case, and covered the strategic move Qatar made on LNG, and I think it's only one word that could describe what's taken place in this country over the last 20 years, and that is transformative. Your Excellency Ali Al-Naimi, I appreciate the trust you've given me over the years with access into Saudi Arabia itself, and the exclusive interviews, despite the fact I've dogged you for 20 years at key intervals over the last decade, in particular the last 3 years. I stand in awe of your work, and I appreciate all the access you've given me. And I certainly don't want to overlook the new generation here, and that's His Excellency Mohammed Al-Sada. Sir, you have jumped over some very high hurdles over the last 18 months, particularly in the role as OPEC president. And I think the best way to describe your work is the great unifier, bringing 24 countries around the table for the agreement they signed back in November and December. And there's still more hurdles to cross, I'm sure, but it's great to be in your presence in your home country of Qatar. I'm not going to drone on with a number of thanks tonight, but I certainly feel like I'm one of those blessed souls, because what Adnan doesn't know is that I knew what I wanted to do in life when I was only 7 years old. I was entranced by the power or the potential of television in the 1960s. And I had the great fortune in the first 2 years of CNN to serve as an intern for the pioneer of cable television, that was Ted Turner. It was a fantastic experience in 1983 and 1984. As Mr. Amin was suggesting, I started covering oil in the late 1980s and the oil bust, which took me to the Texas oil patch, to the bayous of Louisiana, where I explored the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Most people don't get a chance to do that. And I even went to the North Slope of Alaska to look at the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and see thousands of caribou walking right underneath that giant pipeline that's connected to the lower 48 states in the United States. At 27, and this is probably the biggest changing point for my career, I was dispatched by Reuters Television in a joint venture with PBS in the United States to go to Kuwait, as the Director General was suggesting, and to be the first in the world to show the destruction of the oil fields. As journalists, we're always curious, and as His Excellency Ali Naimi knows, we kind of probably push the envelope a little bit too far sometimes. But out of curiosity, I had asked the Energy Minister of Kuwait, because it was a no-fly zone, by any chance, did anybody in your helicopter have a camera, a video camera that took the pictures? And he says, as a matter of fact, my chief of staff did. And the gentleman handed me a VHS tape. I was so excited I could barely hold my enthusiasm, because I was the only person in the world that had the aerial video of the horrible damage of the Al-Attiyah oil field. And it was, as the Director General suggested, a worldwide exclusive. I was the most popular person in that hotel room, and people were banging on my door at 3 in the morning trying to get the tape. I was only 27 at the time, and it did redefine my coverage, and in fact got me hired by CNN 8 years after I actually interned for them in 1992. Nothing beats experience, because the pieces of the global puzzle come into place. And what I mean by that is perspective, that I hope, and I don't want to be a follower in this business, but a leader in the business. I want to be able to lead discussion. I think that's what's happened over the last 5 years, as the Director General has suggested. At venues such as the Energy Elders, which we're launching tomorrow here in Doha, the OPEC Seminar, which I've been grateful to chair the last 2 times around, the World Energy Congress with His Excellency, the Energy Minister of Saudi Arabia, the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum with Vladimir Putin, which was a highlight, of course, and the last 2 years, a fixture at the World Economic Forum in Davos with the CNN Money Energy Roundtable. And again, I appreciate the support from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for that. But most importantly, after 3 decades of exploring remote operations from the Caspian Sea to the Gulf of Mexico, and now the new energy equation, thanks to my friend Adnan Amin, it's what keeps my spring in my step. I've been doing it for 30 years, and it feels like it's gone just like that, because I've had such a great time of it. And I certainly hope our television and rapidly expanding digital audience on CNN Money remains as engaged as I am. I'm not ready to hang up the boots just yet. I would like to thank the foundation for the nomination tonight. I appreciate it, Your Excellency. It's great to be back in Doha. And we cannot overlook key members of the family, my spouse Manuela, who never travels with me on the road because of the raising of our 2 children in Abu Dhabi, is with me on table 3. She's a journalist by trade, and half of my 30 years of the business We've been married, and she lets me spin around the globe about half of the month, as I suggested, and it takes a lot of support to be able to do that, because I'm on a moment's notice with CNN, you fly to the other corner of the world. It's fun, but it requires a lot of sacrifice from the other half. Thanks again for your support in the foundation, and I appreciate your listening to my words tonight. Thank you very much.